Hello, guys. Welcome to part two of A Third Political Party is Needed. Some of you may remember in part one, I also mentioned the possibility of a fourth political party. That's because one day we may actually need a fourth political party, but for the purpose of this series, we'll stick mainly with the subject of introducing a third political party into the electoral system here in the United States. In this video, we'll be discussing the media and how the media can be used to either make or break a presidential hopeful. Now, we've all seen the media either hype people up that don't deserve to be hyped up, and we've also seen the media absolutely destroy people. Now, at times, some of the people who have been destroyed by the media in the middle of their campaign, they actually deserve it. One example of this is John Edwards, who in 2008 had his presidential campaign completely destroyed by an affair that he was having with a woman. And it wasn't so much the affair that destroyed him as it was the fact that they also produced an illegitimate child. And there were also a few other things that was involved in this situation that made John Edwards just seem kind of cold, to be honest with you, because his wife was sick and the woman he was having an affair with revealed some of the things that he was saying that just came across as just very cold, as though he didn't care about his wife. So it was pretty much a wrap for him, and I have to say, deservedly so. Not so much for the sex scandal, but just a lot of the behind the scenes things that was going on. The indifferent way that he was talking about his wife to his mistress. I mean, when you have a wife that's sick, and you're having an affair, the least you could do is respect your wife. But that's just, my personal opinion. I'm not really one to hold sexual affairs against presidential candidates, because when you look at some of the criminal activity that has been coming out of the White House throughout the history of our country, sexual affairs should be the least of our worries. Now, let's take a look at Howard Dean. Howard Dean had a pretty good campaign when he was running for president. And one day he lost the Iowa caucus. If I remember correctly, it was in 2004. And he was given a speech. And when he was given the speech, he had a very high emotional moment. In fact, I was looking at television. I was looking at the speech when it originally aired. And all he was doing was trying to rally the troops. He had just suffered a defeat in the Iowa caucus. And basically what he was trying to do is he was trying to say, hey, look, we had a bad day today, but we're going to go forward. We're going to go here. We're going to go there. We're going to kick some ass. We're going to take a few names. And everything is going to be okay. And in the end, we're going to reign victorious. And stick with me. And I'm going to take this campaign all the way to the White House. Now, during this speech, like I said, he had a high emotional moment. He let out a little high-pitched scream. And, at the time, I thought it was funny. But I didn't think anything about it. I didn't look at it as he, was going crazy. But the media got a hold of this, and they were reporting the story as though Howard Dean had temporarily lost his mind. And because of that very small thing, they absolutely obliterated Howard Dean's campaign. They completely destroyed it, and unfortunately, he was never able to rebound. Now, let's discuss this clown, Bush Jr. Yes, he's a war criminal, but that's not the most fascinating thing about him on this subject. The most fascinating thing about him is really concerning his family, namely his grandfather, Prescott Bush. Now, what a lot of people don't know about Prescott Bush is he and others attempted to overthrow FDR and overthrow the government, of course. If you overthrow the president, you overthrow the government. And it was his plan and the plan of a few others, of course, wealthy people, to replace the current American system, which is democracy, with a fascist system, one that was modeled on the same government system that was ran by Adolf Hitler and Mussolini. Now, this is not a conspiracy theory. This is well documented facts, and I will place a link in the video description to allow you guys to begin a little research if you've never heard of this, but it's not a conspiracy theory. My only question is, how does someone run for president, have something like this in their family background, and not have it come out? I can guarantee you that if you or I ran for president and we had something like this in our family background, the media would destroy us. The media would destroy us if they found out that our grandfather sold marijuana, much less tried to overthrow the United States. Now, when you take a look at some of the families that were involved in this incident, you really don't need to be a brain surgeon to figure out why the information probably never came out. We're talking Heinz, Colgate, Birdseye, and General Motors. These are some really heavy hitters. So, there were a few other families involved as well. These are just examples. But it's just a prime example of how here in the United States, the rich and the powerful can get away with basically whatever they want. Now let's take a look at this guy, Donald Trump, the maestro. Now, I don't support this guy. I think in terms of being a president, this guy is going to turn out to be quite a debacle, but you got to give him credit for one thing. This guy was a master at playing the media. He gave them the entertainment that they wanted, and, they allowed him to do it because they thought, look, anytime we want, we can destroy this guy just like we've destroyed other people in the past. But it didn't quite work out like that. And you know who you really need to give credit to for that? You really have to give credit to his supporters. Now, yeah, there are a portion of his supporters who are ignorant bigots. But not all Trump supporters are ignorant bigots. Some of them, if you really go out and talk to them, they're actually very intelligent people. And they're kind of using Donald Trump as a way of saying to the establishment, fuck you. Now, Donald Trump, being wealthy, he is a part of the establishment to a certain extent, but he's not a part of the Washington establishment, which is quite different. When you're a part of the Washington establishment, like Hillary Clinton, you know where the bodies are buried. And basically, you understand the game that's currently being played in Washington, D.C. Now, someone like Donald Trump, he throws a wrench in that. They don't quite know what to expect from him. And, but I have a feeling that even if he becomes president, he's not going to be any different than a Hillary Clinton would be. A lot of the people, the establishment, the neocons, they prefer Hillary because they know what she's going to do. And there's no negotiating that needs to go on or anything like that. In other words, she's predictable, and Donald Trump isn't. But in the end, he would just turn out to be just like they are. But a lot of his supporters, believe it or not, they pretty much know that. They know that Donald Trump is not the perfect guy. But they also know that he is the guy that the Washington establishment, they're not comfortable with him. And that's why they're trying to throw him in the game. They're really using him as much as Donald Trump is using them. In the next video, I'd like to discuss the unrepairable corruption in Washington, D.C.
And yes, you did hear me correctly, the unrepairable corruption in Washington, D.C., because currently as it stands, it is unrepairable. We cannot continue to travel down the road we're traveling and think that these people are going to change it. They're not going to change it. They are benefiting from it. This past election should show us everything we need to know about the mountain that's set before us that we're going to have to climb. The corruption is unbelievable. And right now, I'll be perfectly honest with you. The elections pretty much are rigged. They're rigged. Now, before you think that I'm crazy for saying that, I want people to understand and remember one thing, and some of you may not have ever known it. America is not really a democracy. America is a republic. But regardless of what America is, the most important point is that there have been studies at a number of universities that prove that America is not a democracy. There isn't even an effort to run it as a democracy. Now, it may have been at one time, but I'm not talking about what was happening at one time. I'm talking about what's happening right now because we live in the right now. In fact, a few of the studies that I read said that not only is America not a democracy, it's also not a republic, that in fact, America currently, as it is today, is an oligarchy. But we'll discuss that in the next video. If you like this video, please hit like, and of course, you're always welcome to hit that subscribe button. Talk to you guys later.